All right, guys, what is going on? Welcome, fight fans, to the channel. This is Johnny, wherever you're tuning in. I say welcome. As you check in, I'll give you a little bit of an intro. This will not be my longest live stream of the day. I have a really busy day ahead of me with clients, interviews. I'm interviewing an old Hall of Fame boxer in Australia at his gym, so I have that. I still have one more upload to do, and I am going to go live one more time today. But it is 4:58 a.m. my time, so my first client is at 5:45 a.m. It's Friday morning, so I'm going to stay on for about 30 to 40 minutes here. And fortunately, I have my gym downstairs, so I'm going to run downstairs to coach, and then I have a few clients, and then I'll be going live again in a few hours. Guys, a couple things on the channel. I want to welcome all the new Johnny Says Boxing Insider members. We're already growing that community. This is going to give you access to just more features of the channel, access to more bets, first viewer videos. There's a feature on there if you want me to do a specialized, personalized video for any of you guys. You have that option on one of the memberships. So if you haven't joined Johnny Says Boxing Insider group, it's a couple bucks a month. If you could swing it, that link is pinned in the comments section on this live stream. What else? I uploaded Bam versus Cafu, my breakdown, analysis, and prediction, the way I see that fight going. If you haven't watched that already, that's on the channel. Guys, if you're new to the channel and you've been seeing my live streams, go to my playlist section, find Fight Prediction. You'll see the uploaded, edited, uninterrupted videos there of all of the videos that we talk about, of all the fights that we talk about on the live streams. Those are under Fight Prediction. And the title, we'll get into the title of this video right now. Usyk versus Dubois. If you look on the thumbnail, plus 300 money. Guys, this is a bet that I might go with. I'm just presenting it to you guys. If you are on the side of Usyk winning the fight, I'm picking Usyk to win the fight. I have Usyk on the money line on one of my parlays. But my book right now, if you take Usyk to win, and I'm just giving you two options. If you want to juice the odds up a bit on Usyk versus Dubois, go to your book. And now this is for you guys. If you don't think that money line, I got Usyk earlier in the week on the money line at $1.34. Right now he's $1.27. So if you feel that $1.27, which I think is actually great value just on the money line, if you want to sprinkle a little bit something on Usyk to win by decision, is three plus 300. I find that great value, guys. Usyk to win by decision is plus 300. 100 on him gets your money back plus 200. Usyk to win by stoppage is plus 200. So it really just comes down to which way you see this fight ending. If you're an Usyk fan, do you see Dubois getting stopped again? If you think Dubois is the same guy from the first fight, even though he's won his last three against formidable opponents, Jarrell, Hergovich, and AJ, and you're gonna have to make that decision. But right now, plus 300, I think is great value. I'm still waiting for a knockdown prop bet on Bam Rodriguez versus Cafu. Once again, that's another fight that on the money line. I put that bet in earlier in the week. My first lock that I gave you guys. Also, the VIPs, just go to our post section. You'll see I've uploaded, there's 3 locks in there this week that you guys get that not everybody else gets. I'm going to upload one more lock today. It's going to be an MMA lock. The last 2 weeks since we started doing our MMA parlays, we've hit 2 weeks in a row. There are a couple, I don't dare I say gimmies this weekend in UFC. There's never any gimmies. But whenever I watch Michael Johnson fight, I always, you know, there's a good chance that fight's ending before the final bell. That's just an example. Let's look at to see. We'll get into that in our second live stream today. So by the time I go live the second time today, in our Boxing Insider group, you would have already seen me upload my UFC picks. I will be going that in detail second live stream. For now, let's go to Bam Rodriguez versus Cafu. I've watched a lot of tape on Cafu. I didn't really need to watch a lot of tape on Bam because I watch all of his fights. I think people might be thinking about this one too a little bit too much. Sometimes as bettors, we take money merch in the house, goats in the house. Rando Light, if you're on this live stream, I saw your email. I'll get to that. I just noticed. And Goat, is that a good thing or bad thing? I didn't know. Goat, I have that feature. Yeah, Goat. So I created that feature for now, as long as everybody keeps it copacetic. Boys, we have a cool community that's growing in terms of our boxing insiders. So as you see, Goat has a blue star, and you'll see, people rolling in with the blue stars. It's a couple bucks a month. It's similar to a Patreon, but you don't have to leave YouTube. So I'm trying to grow the community on here because this is where you guys, we've connected at. Once you become a member, it's a couple bucks a month. You could post there. Now, as of now, I'm not even moderating that section. I'm only moderating the community post section for Johnny Stavko subscribers because we just can't have the Wild West on the goddamn channel, can we now? But in the Boxing Insider group, that's on you boys. You can post. I haven't taken anything down. And yeah, post away. Post your picks there. Definitely post your picks there. I think I've seen on YouTube, people might be, sometimes we overcomplicate some bets. Mar the Prince. Yeah, it's a couple bucks, mate. So Bam Rodriguez right now, I'll get to. I want a knockdown prop bet. They're not giving it to me. Guys, is your book giving you any knockdown markets? The only knockdown markets on Bam versus Cafu I'm getting is will Cafu be knocked down or will Bam be knocked down? I wanted a plus or minus knockdown prop. Jesus. Will both fighters be knocked out? I don't know, man. All right. Willy Wonka, the link is pinned in this chat. The link is also on my channel, but I make it easy for you guys. So if you go to the chat, the very first comment is a pinned link. Just click that. Yeah, it's weird. Okay, so you guys, but on other yeah, same Goat. So for now, like I said, I already have action. I've already had early week action on Bam, one of my locks, but thanks, Money Meech. But for now, like, I'm not gonna force it. Sometimes, like I said, there we go, Willy Wonka. If I don't get that over under knockdown prop, I'm not gonna force it on Bam Rodriguez. I really like it though. Like if certain books have crazy, I'm salty that I can't take over 0.5 knockdowns. What's up, baby Cope? I'm uploading Pacheco versus Macumbi today, so I'm featuring that fight. So one of the boys in our VIP group asked me to do that fight earlier in the week. It's a fight. I always feature Diego Pacheco. I think Diego Pacheco is going to shine. Mar the Prince, I appreciate you boys. Let's see that comment you just. So West Goat saying thinking Barrios and Zayas is generational too. Generational too. Like West Goat, I'm not arguing with you. I don't like combining week to week parlays, but there's a lot of value there. I'm high on Xander. We're gonna find out a lot about him against Chino. I can't wait for that fight. Guys, that fight's for the WBO world title. I got my information. The WBO is vacant right now. And next week, when Xander Zayas fights Chino Garcia, the winner becomes the WBO world champion. Somebody fact check me on that. I mean, I've done my due diligence. I guess somewhere along the line I forgot that that belt was vacant. Oh, Xander is going to be a problem. Guys, I'm high on Xander Zayas. I think Xander, before it's all said and done, we're probably going to see him at maybe 68. I mean, he's big for 54. People don't realize. If you follow his Instagram, you know he's dedicated to the game. I'm always a fan of fighters who are. This is going to sound a little bit sort of. What's the word I'm looking for? Because I'm a strength and conditioning coach. So whenever you see me in comments or you hear or you read, like some of you guys asked me before, Johnny, what's SNC means? SNC is strength and conditioning coach. Xander Zayas takes his strength and conditioning very seriously. Watch his Instagram. He's always in the gym. He's always doing functional movement pattern work. He's always, and you know, at 22 years old, he's tall, rangy. He's built really well. I could see him at 60. Dude, that might be the move too, because 54 right now is really top heavy and deep. 60 on the other hand, I mean, you got a couple champions. You know, Janabek's not going to be around forever. Adamas, who else? Lara. I know I'm missing somebody. But yeah, the 160 is probably, it's so thin. Our box over here in the States are starting to give us so much. Yeah. Yenli. I really think they should start moving. Martha Prince, great point. I really want to see Yenli be moved a bit more. There's so much to like about Hernandez. If you like technique, if you like a guy who slugs it out, but is technical, we watched Hernandez's last fight, how he keeps that high guard and he keeps that chin and he's just here. Like he's a joy to watch. I want to see more of him. Yeah, you were at that fight, or you saw him at Shakur fight. What's he walk around at? He seems like a bloke who's a big dude. Cause he looked massive in his last fight. Like I love a guy who's a puncher, but also defensively minded. You know what I mean? Because it tells you that he's thinking on both sides of the plate. I was at the fights Wednesday night in Sydney, and there's a fun prospect, regional prospect in Australia named Clay Waterman, and he won a really close decision, but he should have washed the guy. He fought a really tough Kiwi. And I brought him up yesterday on my live stream. I couldn't remember another time I saw a prospect where I was so frustrated with. Usually with prospects, you let a lot of things slide. Like technically, and you take the good and kind of throw away the bad. With prospects, you kind of adhere to the fact that they're going to develop. And with this kid, Clay Waterman, he so naturally gifted and talented and does all of the natural things well, but from the technical side, it was so lazy and was getting hit so much. Lazy in his technique, I mean. Yenli Hernandez is not that. I bring him up because you see Yenli Hernandez, dude. You see him with his technique, especially defense. It's insane. Rogue Strummer. I get everybody from, since I was a boy, the old ladies always thought I looked like Travolta, mate. So upset of the week. Guys, how are we explaining what upset is? Because in my world, an upset has always been a plus money fighter. But last week when we hit, some of the haters were like, that's not an upset. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Any fighter who is the underdog on the odds who wins, that's an upset, right? So we lost. My long upset of the week last week lost. We got cooked, but she was a 6-1. That was Sharetta. But 2 nights ago, we hit I already hit an underdog with Paul Gallen. I got Paul Gallen at plus 240 to beat Sonny, and we hit on that. Other than that, you could look at that Brandon Figueroa fight if you want. I'm not really high. I mean, I'm not betting on that fight because I don't like what I saw from Brandon Figueroa, but I do. It just depends on how you feel about Joet Gonzalez. He's at 325. I think Joet Gonzalez is worth sprinkling something on it. Now, if I make that official, I'll post it in our group. We're just having the conversation right now. If you hear me say a fight or say an option and I don't post it or I don't commit to it, and you do, I mean, even if I do tell you to take a pick and you commit to it, we're all adults in the room. So Fundora, exactly. So Fundora right now on the odds, if he's plus money, guys, he's a dog. So, I mean, if you're leaning that way, and I'm still torn. I did my prediction. I'm still torn. I picked him. I'm still torn. It could go, and I'm a fan of both guys. I gotta be honest with you guys. I'm probably a bigger fan, if I had to pick one, I'm probably a bigger fan of Fundora than I am of Zoo, to be honest with you, as a boxer, but I'm picking Zoo to win. Sometimes, Tim, like, there's certain things, and I'm just speaking kind of like out of the boxing realm. There's certain things that I watch for with fighters, how they speak in the lead up, in the media, and how they act after losses and how they act after wins. Over the last few years, there's things that Zoo has said that's kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Not as a fighter, but just I sit back and, maybe from a coaching perspective, some of the things he'd say about potential matchups, and I would sit back and I'm like, man, who's giving this kid advice? like why would he say that about that guy? That's a bit reckless. He's running his mouth a bit too much. So certain when fighters do that, for me personally, kind of rubs me the wrong way. As a fan, I've always liked how the Fundora carries himself. A Fierro decision. There you go, Marla Prince. Man, I love. That's an upset. That's an upset. That by no means is that a lock. If I were to give you a lock on Pitbull and Fierro, I already shared it with you. I like Pitbull and Fierro to go the distance at plus money. And I could see Fierro's tough, man. I do this every fight week, guys. I'll start the fight week and I'll look at the fight lists. And then I'll be like, why did that fight get made? I didn't want to see that fight. No one wants to see that fight. And then a day out, I'm like, oh, shit. I can't wait to see that fight. So Pitbull versus Fierro, even earlier in the week, I'm like, is this the rematch nobody asked for? Like, why are we watching this fight? I didn't ask for Pitbull Fierro 2. And now it's like, dude, I cannot wait for Pitbull Fierro 2. So, yeah, I'm a weirdo like that. Maybe I could talk myself into, yeah, I did see that. 20 fights, I think, more the Prince. DJ, I had to get the stream off early. So I started the stream about an hour earlier today because my day is busy, but I'm here for you boys. Let's go. Why are Dubois odds so large? Rogue Strummer. I think the Dubois odds are so large because you got to watch that first fight. He was losing Dubois lost every moment of that first fight, except, you know what I mean? And then, say it for what you will, I still think that was a legal punch. Even though, I'm high on Usyk, and I'm picking Usyk to win, and Usyk was winning the entire fight, I think that was not a low blow. But because of that, people sometimes forget that Usyk was in control. But I think that, that's a hill I'll die on, mate. I've been hit in the body before. Where that belt line is. What are we doing then? Are we wearing our guard up here then? Are we gonna really wear our girdle up here? So, hey bro, jumping in. Christian, did you hear Turkey mention Jake Paul, AJ? No, I didn't. I don't really mess with Turkey. Yeah, I agree, Strummer. And there's an argument for Dubois to win. Dubois is 27 years old. He has dynamite in his hands. His nickname is Dynamite. He's 3-0 in his last 3 with 3 stoppages. You then have to ask yourself, if you like Dubois, if you like all that, what has he added to his boxing skill in those 3 fights that he didn't have against Usyk? The answer is nothing, and that's nothing bad to say against Dubois. He is he's a finished product. But Usyk's skill set, that boxing, even if you take the 2 Fury fights, he did go 24 rounds. You know, how much did he get hurt? How much is Fury going to get old overnight? It could happen, guys. That could happen. I wouldn't overthink it though. If you're an Usyk fan, if you're a Dubois fan, if you're a heavyweight fan, if you're a fan of the young fighters, sprinkle something on Dubois. I'm on Usyk. Usyk's one of my locks. But what I'm saying, I could definitely see a path to victory for Dubois. You know, he's coming off Hrgovic, Jared, Jarrell, and AJ. Take what you will. And I'm impressed with how he rebounded. My problem with Dubois, boys, I know he's a bit younger. He was younger. I still can't get past that Joe Joyce loss. Westcoast, that Joe Joyce loss, man. I know it was a couple years ago, and I'm the first one to tell you I'm impressed with how Dubois recovered after Usyk's loss. But what do you think about this next statement? The inner psychology of us as men, not just as fighters or athletes or humans, like our inner psychology, I mean like how we react in situations impulsively without us even thinking. So situations out of our control, how we react in the moment, it's tough to change that. Sort of like the inner wirings of our spirits, how we deal with adversity, how we deal with stress. You could do work on yourself. My point is, what we've seen in the past with Dubois, I think that's in him. You know what I mean? And that's no shade on him. When you choose a path as a boxer, and you are skilled enough and disciplined enough to become a famous world-class fighter like Dubois is, champion, it doesn't mean these fighters and athletes have everything on their plate ticked off. You know what I'm saying? I am Chaz tonight. So there is a path for him. For me personally, though, it's a bet. I'm coming from a betting perspective. We have to add reasoning. We have to add, our own perspective into it. This is why, because I was when I saw the matchup, I'm like, all right, Dubois got this, man. I like what Triple D's looked like his last 3 fights. Younger, 27, enters prime. He's confident. He's coming off 3 wins in a row, 3 stoppages. That backhand's looking on point. He's confident, swaggy. But then again, I'm like, he could do it. And then I'm like, it's Usyk, though. Oh, they've already fought before. Usyk stopped him before. But it's just tough. Exactly. So that's a big thing for me. I know you don't bet Fig, but going off of issue, do you think a most punches thrown prop? Marlon Prince, I'm going to be honest with you. Even if I was huge on Figueroa, that prop isn't my wheelhouse. So I'm at the stage of the game when you guys ask me questions like that. Fig versus Joet, if anything, I think, maybe the fight to go the distance would be a nice prop. Some of you guys are more experienced than me betting on punches thrown, these sort of like specialized prop bets. I'm not going to just sit here and give you advice on that. I mean, I could look at the statistics. We can pull them up right now. I like speaking on, this is anything in my life, speaking on experience, whether it's a successful experience or unsuccessful experience. I've never bet on a total punch output, so I'm actually not the right guy to answer that one. After they said it was a low blow, yeah, he did. New Media. New Media brings up a great point. New Media, do you know what that reminded me of? How Dubois checked out after the low blow was Liam Wilson versus Emmanuel Navarrete, and this happens. This happens in a Fierro by decision, boys. I like Fierro Pitbull to go the distance. That's one of my locks. That's one of my prop locks. But to put an exclamation point on Dubois, Usyk, how psychology comes into play. It happens. Imagine if you're fighting the biggest fight of your life and you win in a split second. Disregard the legality. In a split second, it's taken away from you. You know how hard it is to turn those lights on again internally? The lights are on, but Liam Wilson versus Navarrete, same thing. That happened. Rogue Strummer, appreciate you. New subscriber, we appreciate you here. The longer you're here, you'll realize that this channel's filled with very bright boxing heads. This is why, man, I put so much energy into this YouTube lately because you guys have as well. I always wanted to build my Instagram. I built my Instagram in the mid 2000s, like 2013, 2018, to like 40,000 people. But I'm one of the things that was during fitness, and the fitness space online is such a toxic, dirty, unethical space. So I just use my Instagram just now to post stories. But boxing's always been my first love, and I was like, man, and boxing at the time, just a couple years ago, and still is, could also be very toxic online in the chat, very casual. And I was like, I'm building a space on my YouTube where the casuals will find out really quickly that they don't have a place here, because I'm going to attract people who know the sport and love the sport like myself, and we're going to really get to the crux of what's going on with each fight, and that's what we're doing. So if you're new here, we say welcome. I like Figueroa Gonzalez. Both guys are tough, dude. I mean, do you maybe there's a knockdown prop under? I rarely will go an under because like I'm kind of a gunslinger, my personality, and I'll explain to you in a second. So like in football, I played American football from the time I was 7 until I graduated. I played quarterback. I love throwing the deep ball. I love calling audibles at the line of scrimmage. Baseball, I pitched. I played in college. So I love the ball in my hand and control. Basketball is a 2-guard. So I was a shooter. My point is, in relation to knockdown props, I never do under knockdown props. My mentality, the way I look at life, I like over knockdown prop bets. But there is a knockdown prop. I think that if I could get it, like an under with Joette versus Figgy. If I haven't looked at the props yet. CB Flower Reviewer, what's up, buddy? Yeah, Goat, when you do it, post it. Goat realized earlier on the stream that I'm going to tell you boys, all the insiders, so if you see on the chat, the boys who have a blue star, that's supporting my channel. That's also a couple bucks a month. You're a Johnny Says Boxing Insider. You get more perks to the channel, more access than the average subscriber. Also, you have access to the community post section on my channel, public, that you could post your picks on. So now I removed moderation for the boxing insiders. So if you want to post your parlays in that chat, you guys can. And he thinks there'll be at least one knock. Yes, Rafa, I think I have an email in my spam inbox from you, Rafa Montana. Don't think I didn't see it. Rafa, if you emailed me last week, for some reason it fell into my spam account, and I think you emailed me either a potential winning parlay or, if that's you, I'm going to get back to you. Bam Cafu over 5. I love that. Johnny, what's your thoughts on Okoli Larena? Changing his sound, become more offensive. Sup, Johnny? I got Dubois, Usyk, no distance. Damn, there's a lot going on right now. So let me get to Okoli Larena. If you're looking at a method of victory, I like Okoli and Arena, Kevin, not to go the distance. If you're looking at, is Bam overlooking Cafu because he has the Puma fight in his, future? It's already on BoxRec. No way. All you have to do is listen to Bam Rodriguez. If you're worried about that, watch his interviews, watch how he trains, understand how he goes about his business. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a more switched-on 25-year-old. And I'm only saying this to add to my narrative. He's a new father. He's super devoted to the game. He comes from a boxing family. We know he is a technician and a skilled sort of master when he's in the ring. He is one of my favorite fighters, and I did my best on my breakdown to not show bias, but I even said it in my breakdown. It's hard for me not to be a fan of body punchers. It's how I was raised as a kid, being a smaller kid, learning boxing when I was 7. Going to the body was always my method of victories. Even in street fights in school and recess, my dad would yell. He was like, don't punch anybody in the face. He was like, you don't want to hurt your hands, and you don't want to, he was worried about getting sued. He was like, so I was a kid growing up hitting dudes in the body. So I think body punching is a lost art. And when I see a guy like Bam Rodriguez and a lot of Robert Garcia fighters, they invest in the body. And Virgil, another one. And they don't just body punch to see an opening. They punch the body with intention of breaking you down. How do you stop a mover? How do you flatten somebody's tires? You work the body, you break the body down. How do you drop somebody's high guard? Cafu has a high guard, guys. How do you drop somebody's high guard? You break that body down, and then you go up top. Boom, boom. And Bam, you add that to Bam's angles. You know, Cafu's here. He's going to be a brave fighter. Bam hits that body. Cafu maybe third or fourth round drops it. Bam goes lead hook, out angles him, and catches him with an uppercut. We've seen it happen before. Bam does all these little things on angles, off of punches, his punch selection, his volume, his speed of punches in a combination. There's a lot of little things that kid does where I'm just watching like, damn, dude, you don't see that. You don't see that a lot. So I do have to be kind of cautious on how much I hype him up because I'm not, he's still only 25 years old. And I think as fight fans, if you're new to the fight game, that's one you want to watch. You want to watch how he fights. And I guarantee old heads older than me, because I'm old now. I'm 43. But I know there's old heads, I'm going to interview a fighter who's 70 tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So little quick story before I get out of here, because I got to cut this short. So one of the most popular two-sport athletes of all time in Australia was Anthony Mundine. Anthony Mundine was an all-star rugby player who walked away as the highest paid rugby player in Australia at the time. In his prime, he walked away to become a boxer and then became a world champion. Mundine was one of the only fighters that I could think of who won titles descending. You know what I mean? Most boxers win titles ascending, moving up. Mundine started at 68 and moved down to win titles. You never see fighters descending, winning world titles throughout a career. It's always the other way around. My point is, his father, so they're an Aboriginal family from Australia, Anthony Mundine, and his son Raheem just fought Wednesday night. That's why I went to the fights to see Raheem. His friends call him CJ. CJ had his second pro fight, Anthony Mundine's son. Mundine fought an old Sugar Shane Mosley, Danny Green. Mundine's had he's former world champion, legit. Mundine's father in the 1960s and 70s, Tony Mundine, the legend, was a 20-year-old Aboriginal kid who flew to Paris to fight Carlos Monzon. So Tony Mundine, in his career, was such a legend in Australia. Imagine an Aboriginal kid in the 1960s Australia, flying to Argentina, Paris. He fought Emil Griffith. He fought Benny Briscoe. He fought Carlos Monzon. I'm going to interview him on Saturday. And my point was about Bam. You don't have to be new to boxing to see what he does really well. And I guarantee that if you're an old head like Tony Mundine, he probably watches a guy like Bam Rodriguez and would say the same thing. What he does with his game, his fight IQ. I mean, there are things that he could work on, similar to Inoue, but both guys are so keen to exchange. We've seen Bam get cracked before. We've seen Bam get dropped before. We've seen Bam get off the canvas before. All of those things I enjoy as a fight fan. I don't really trust a guy. How do you trust a guy? How do you trust someone's durability if you've never seen them tested, if you've never seen them rocked? We live in such a weird era of boxing that if you see your favorite fighter rocked or tested, the haters will say he's chinny or he has no chin. No, that's a good thing. Watching Abdullah get dropped, I was loving that because he picked himself up and he stopped his opponent, and you're like, all right, Abdullah got that dog in him. Same thing with Inoue. So when I see guys like that who are that skilled, that world class, who have that trajectory, Bam and Inoue are already there, but throw Abdullah in the mix. Getting dropped is not a bad thing. It's boxing. There were guys back in the day, they weren't at their best until they got cracked. It's great, man. Sal Sanchez, Finito, man, those are two people. Forget about Finito. Didn't Finito retire 51-0, I think, 50-0? Ricardo Finito Lopez, man, one of the greatest smaller fighters of all time. Sal Sanchez, one of my favorite guys of all time, passed away way too soon. Do you think the PBC wants Keith for Zoo? I want to see it. I don't know, man. I don't know what they're going to do. I want to see it. Zoo better be switching on, like I said. Sprinkle some Loma. I said 2 weeks ago that I thought Loma wouldn't come back. Now I'm starting to hear stories and rumblings that, what do you think we're going to see Loma fight again? Wasn't it Sal? Was it Sal Sanchez versus Wilfredo Benitez or Wilfredo Gomez? Yes, what a fight. What a fight. So, 2 years ago, when I first started my YouTube on boxing, I was doing documentaries. So, like, I was doing 20-minute storytelling of all these fighters. And I broke down, and then YouTube took all those videos down and suspended me for copyright infringement. So, I was still figuring out how to use YouTube. I didn't know. But I was doing, like, video narrations. And so, dude, Salvador Sanchez, if you want to watch a fight that, if you haven't, Azuma Nelson was in some great wars in Australia too. If you want to watch a fight that'll blow you away, Wilfredo Gomez versus Salvador Sanchez, dude. I remember watching that in my living room right here, doing research on the documentary for Salvador Sanchez. Like, I'm watching it, and the fight happened a year before I was born. I was born in 82. It happens in 81. It's on YouTube. And I'm like screaming at the screen. I'm like, holy shit. What the? Amazing, dude. Amazing. That's why we love boxing. Maxile. People are high on Maxile. Guys, I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes just to give you a heads up. I have a really busy morning. It's been a busy week. I have clients for the next few hours. My second live stream in the next few hours, we'll cover everything. I'm going to have one more parlay by then posted in our group. We will cover the UFC because, guys, these are for the UFC heads too. The longer you're on my channel, if I had two of me, I'd have a channel just like this just for UFC and MMA because I watch every single fight. I've watched every single fight since I was a kid. I grew up with the sport since 93. I've interviewed the likes of Dan Severn. Royce Gracie is in my book. So I watch all these fights. And there are some locks from the UFC space. I gave you 2 parlays the last 2 weeks with the UFC. I posted them. We hit on both of them. And like Michael Johnson is one of them on the Johnson fight not to go the distance. That's just off the tip of my head, but we'll revisit that on my second live stream. Wherever you're tuning in, guys, could you like this video? Hit subscribe. Yeah, Kevin Holland has one of my all-time favorite moments when he pulled guard against Jacare and he's on his back and he knocks Jacare out with it was either a short right hand or a short elbow from his guard. You never see that. He had like this much space to develop power. And Jacare Souza is a legend, dude. All-time legend. So, but Holland has way too many up and down moments in his career for me to bet on him, by the way. The minute how Holland chose to fight Wonderboy to me will go down as one of the most insanely idiotic fight IQs in a big fight of all time. That's a Kevin Holland fight. Michael Johnson as well. How Michael Johnson chose to fight Josh Emmett at the end of that fight when Johnson, I think, was up on the cards and then he got starched. One of the scariest knockouts you'll ever see. So there's certain guys that I try to stay away from. Dwayne Styles in the house. What's up? What's up, Maurice? Appreciate all the support. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to cut this. Yeah, but it's not. We'll get into that in my second live stream. I'm going to have to cut this. I got a client right now. Guys, wherever you are, I say welcome. Stay tuned to the channel. Hit the bell notification button. I know some of you boys didn't get notified on this live stream. Supposedly, YouTube says if you guys just hit the bell that you guys will be notified. So do that. Like this video, and I'll see you soon.